Could the Miami Dolphins sell at the deadline? We'll take a look at the top trade candidates on today's show and if I believe they should be kept or should they be shopped. But make sure you do like the video because we're not going anywhere. And I know some of you guys out there are frustrated with this team, but you still like the Dolphins. And I want, even at our lowest moment, to show the world that Dolphins fans still care about this team. Hit that thumbs up icon. Let's get 500 likes to show the world we're not going anywhere. And on today's show, like I mentioned, we have the top 10 players most likely to be potentially talked about in trade rumors before Tuesday's November 5th NFL trade deadline. And I'm going to tell you if the Dolphins will keep them or should shop them. And we'll start with a keeper, and that is Tyreek Hill. There will be some rumors out there on the star wide receiver, but I don't think they will last long. It was actually reported about a week and a half ago about how the Dolphins will have no chance of trading Tyreek Hill. And I think that's the smart decision. And although it's been a down year for Tyreek through the first 7 games of the season, with only 2.5 games coming with Tua Tagovailoa, the numbers haven't been there. But with Tua, he had 130 yards and a touchdown in the first game of the season. And then last week against the Cardinals had over 69 yards again. Like, I am very impressed with what Tyreek has done with Tua at quarterback, and that should come to no surprise. And when people talk about a Tyreek Hill trade, I don't think you're getting value at the deadline anymore. And I think teams have realized that there's no chance of him being available, and they've pivoted, which is why I think he's going to be kept, because the Chiefs traded for DeAndre Hopkins, the Ravens traded for Deontay Johnson, Davante Adams got traded to the Jets, so you already have 3 top guys and getting traded, and Cullen's in my ear talking about Amari Cooper. Like, nobody is going to go out there and trade a first for Tyreek Hill right now when they've been bargain shopping pretty well with some of these other guys. So to me, if you are trading Tyreek Hill, I'd wait until the offseason and reset the contract standpoint there to get some cap space for free agency, or you do it during next season at the deadline if a team needs a wide receiver. I am not trading Tyreek Hill at this point. I'm keeping him. He wants to be in Miami, so I always will take players that want to be here. But if you are going to deal him, I think it's going to come in the offseason or next year. All right, let's move it on to Calais Campbell here, and unfortunately I do have him on my shop list. Not that I want to get rid of him. I don't want to. He's been really good for Miami. There's no debating that. He's been your best defensive lineman this season. On a team that only has 9 total sacks, Calais Campbell has 2 of them. He's also been very influential in the run game, having 7 TFLs and 22 tackles. He's also been one of the rare defensive linemen to be available every single week for the Dolphins. I would not want to shop him considering he's your best defensive lineman. But the reason why he makes my shop list is because he's 38 years old. He's on a 1-year vet min contract. And if you are going to not be in contention, if you lose this week against Buffalo and are 2-6, why would you not try to recoup a draft pick on day 3 for one of your best players that is not guaranteed to be on the roster next season? And if you want him to be on the roster next year, you can still re-sign him in free agency even if you trade him before the deadline on Tuesday. I think he's played so well this season and has shown the ability to be healthy, plug run gaps on the offensive line, as well as get after the quarterback, where you can get a 4th round. You can get a 5th round pick for him on day 3. And if a team that's contending is calling you and offering that, it should be a no-brainer to make that deal if you are 2-6 and have no chance to make the postseason this year. Is he on the block? I don't know, maybe. But name a Dolphins trade candidate in your own opinion down in the comments section. Drop a name. Let me see who you think should be traded down below. We've talked about Javon Holland being someone that's on the block for Miami and potentially a sell candidate as he's a free agent to be. I actually have him on my keep list. And I know we've talked about if he gets offered a good trade, it's interesting. And that's kind of how I feel on Jevon Holland. I like Jevon Holland. When you look at the secondary, he's the only young piece in it. Kendall Fuller is an older player. Jalen Ramsey's an older player. Jordan Poyer is going to be out after this year in Miami. Javon Holland's the one guy in your secondary that you can potentially have for the foreseeable future if you give him an extension in the offseason. And I'd like to re-sign him. But with that being said, if you get wowed by a trade offer and a team that really is desperate for secondary help, and specifically at the safety position, offers you a, say, 2nd-round pick, it's going to be hard for me to say no because he is a free agent. And then you can allot that $15, $16 million to someone else later on in the year. And the issue that I have with Javon Holland is he's entering his 4th season and final year of that rookie contract after being drafted in 2021 is that what is his value going to be? Are you going to pay him 15, 16 mil? I don't know. And the injury scares have been piling up a little bit. He was as reliable as it came in his first 2 seasons, which landed him as a top 5, top 7 safety in all football, playing in 33 games. But over the past 2 seasons, playing in 12, he has missed a game already this year and with that broken bone, and now he has a knee injury that might keep him out for this week against Buffalo. So to me, with Holland's injury history kind of starting to come up here, I don't know. Maybe that doesn't get him traded. But I would like to keep him if it's possible. Like I said, though, if a team comes up and offers you a 2nd-round pick for Javon Holland, I'm going to have to accept that. 3rd-round pick would be enticing as well. But if it's a day 3 pick, I'm going to keep Javon Holland. Raheem Mostert is someone I am going to put on the shop list, the veteran running back who is 32 years old. He just simply hasn't been as good as what we have hoped this season, coming off a 1,000-yard season in 2023, 18 touchdowns, leading the National Football League. It hasn't been as good for him. He's averaging just over 3 yards a carry. He had his first touchdown of the year this past week against the Arizona Cardinals. He had 2 of them, give him credit, in short yardage situations. But I'm okay shopping Raheem Mostert. I really am, because he's 32 years old. That fall off might be happening, and if a team offers you a day 3 pick for Mostert, I think I'm willing to accept that, especially when you know that you have a couple young studs already in this backfield. Devon Achane has been a top 5 back in football this year in running, as well as passing. He's been fantastic. And I'm fine letting Jalen Wright continue to cook. And I'm going to continue to bring up this point time after time after time. Wright was drafted in the 4th round in the 24 draft. You traded Philadelphia a 2025 3rd-round pick. So you gave up more value to get him because you liked him that much. So why not give him the opportunity to be that second back to Devon Achane and create that 1-2 punch? Let him cook. He averages 6 yards per carry just about. He's been elusive, explosive, physical. He has done everything that you could have possibly wanted him to do to earn a top 2 share in this Miami Dolphins backfield. I am more than okay getting rid of Raheem Mostert and shopping him if it means getting more snaps for Achane and Jalen Wright. All right, make sure you do subscribe to the channel, because if a trade happens or doesn't happen before Tuesday's NFL trade deadline, we will have you covered. Let's get to 63K subscribers ASAP, under 250 away. Hit that sub button right now. We're going to keep Emanuel Ogbah, and I don't know why I said keep. I meant to say sell. Hand up. That one's on me. I would have Emanuel Ogbah on the shop list here for the Miami Dolphins because he's on a 1-year deal, and I will take a 5th or 6th for Emanuel Ogbah. I really would. He's was signed right before training camp because Shaq Barrett retired, and he's been okay, but with this team potentially being 2-6 and really going downhill fast, why not move off Emanuel Ogbah? Let Mohamed Kamara get reps. Let Chop Robinson continue to develop, hopefully. And with Bradley Chubb returning, maybe in the next month and a half, you can throw him and have him help teach the young bucks of Kamara and Chop Robinson. If a team offers a 5th or 6th for Ogbah, I'm probably willing to accept that and let the young guys play some football. 5 more candidates to talk about here in just a second. But we are sponsored by Game Time, the best way to get your tickets, and they are the lowest price guaranteed, and they specialize in getting you tickets at the last minute with features like Game Time Picks, which filters out the fluff to show you the incredible deals on great seats on thousands of tickets. It's the best way to get your tickets. I said lowest price guaranteed. It really is guaranteed, because if you find a ticket in the same exact seat, same exact section, same exact row, for a lower price on a different service, they will credit you 110% of the difference. How about that, folks? And like I said, specialize in last-minute tickets. Personal experience here. I was in New York City for Game 4 of the NLCS. I planned to go to that game, got my tickets with Game Time. Wasn't planning to go to Game 5, but the Mets lost on Game 4, and I was like, I need to see them win. So I bought a ticket right before the game on Friday afternoon in Game 5, went to the game, and had a great time and saw the Mets win that Game 5. So I'm telling you, they put their money where their mouth is. And you can get $20 off your first purchase when you download the app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. Terms apply, first purchase only, but use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off Game Time. Shout out to Game Time. What time is it? It is Game Time. All right, let's move over to the second half of players here, and Jordan Poyer makes our list as a shop candidate. This has been probably the biggest mistake Chris Grier made in the offseason, if we're going to be honest. There's a lot of mistakes Chris Grier made. Letting Andrew Van Ginkel walk. Drafting Chop Robinson over Graham Barton. There's been some head scratchers in hindsight. Biggest one might be Jordan Poyer, though. You elected to let Deshaun Elliott and Brandon Jones walk. Both of them have been fantastic this year on their new respective teams. Poyer, not so good. Has struggled mightily in pass coverage. He has not been good. Got cooked against the Arizona Cardinals, and he's been cooked for most of the year as well. He's been a terrible, terrible signing for Miami. And I'll say this, I'd be surprised if anyone wanted him, but if a team needed a safety and threw you a 7th-round pick for Jordan Poyer, you can take him. I'd be okay moving forward with Marcus May as your second safety, even though he hasn't been that good this season, especially in this past game against Arizona. And then hopefully when the 6th-round rookie Patrick Morris comes back from IR, he can get some reps. A name that I don't think anybody expected to see on today's video, but I'll put him on here because it wouldn't shock me if a team got feisty with Miami and offered a trade for Zack Seeler, but he makes the keep list without a doubt. I said that Calais Campbell has been your best defensive lineman this year. I do think that's true, but Zack Seeler is your second best defensive lineman. You might get some calls on Zack, but I'm not trading him under any circumstances. Why? He's under contract for 2 more seasons. He signed a 3-year extension for $30 million that started this season. So he's got 2 more years left at $11 million per season. Sieler is going to be a mainstay and a bargain piece for Miami. Getting him at $11 million per season in 2025 and 2026 is an absolute steal. I am not trading Zack Seeler whatsoever. The only way I trade Zack Seeler is someone wildly overpays for him on the defensive line. Like, so if, for example, if someone offered a 1st-round pick, which that's not going to come even close to happening, I'm not trading Zack Seeler. He is someone that you need to have on this defensive line for the next 2 seasons, and I'd build this defensive line kind of around him over the next couple of years. Odell Beckham Jr. makes the list, and he is going to be a shop player. And this should come to no surprise. I don't even know if anybody will want Odell Beckham Jr. We talked about Jordan Poyer being an absolute disaster for Miami. OBJ has been a disaster. I'm over Odell Beckham Jr. This has been a disaster. And unfortunately, I put my faith in OBJ. I thought he was going to come back and be solid. He hasn't. He's played in 3 games, and he doesn't have a catch. And one of the times he's been targeted was an interception. And then you see his antics on Twitter here, coming after the game against the Cardinals when someone roasted OBJ for not doing anything. And OBJ said, tell them when they make the edit, show all the routes. Yup, bet. Kind of forecasting and displaying that he believes he's open and Tua just isn't getting him the ball. I think OBJ is kind of cooked. He hasn't shown the explosiveness. Maybe I have to rewatch the tape myself, but I'm out on OBJ. If a team offered you a day 3 pick for him, I'd send him away. Once again, he's on a 1-year deal. I'm willing to do that. And I put my faith a little bit more in Malik Washington. He hasn't really done much this year. 3 catches, 17 yards. He's been more involved in the return game with Braxton Berrios being hurt and out for the season. Malik Washington had a really good punt return, by the way, against Arizona in Week 8. I'll be excited to see what he does going forward in the return game. But I'm fine having him in your slot. They use Jonnu Smith in the slot quite a bit. They've used running backs in the passing game quite a bit as well. I think OBJ has turned out to be expendable for this team, especially since they're 2-5, potentially 2-6. So I'm trading OBJ, and I'm done with this experiment in Miami. Are you done with OBJ, though? Are you agreeing with me? Type Y for yes, type N for no. 2 of the biggest misses from Chris Grier is definitely Jordan Poyer and Odell Beckham Jr. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'm going to sell and shop David Long Jr. I am not wanting to keep David Long Jr. He just has not been good for Miami this season. And I'll be honest, if someone wants him, you're going to have him. We talked about it earlier this week about changes needing to be made. David Long Jr. should be benched. He's been bad. Like, horrible. Like, terrible. One of the worst coverage linebackers in football. He's the sixth worst graded player or linebacker in football. It's been a disaster. He has not been good. And like I said, if someone wants him, have him. Be a 7th-round pick, but trade him for a bag of peanuts at this point. Last player we're going to talk about is Jalen Ramsey, and he is a keep. Jalen Ramsey is absolutely a keep. I don't even think people would trade for Jalen Ramsey, and maybe if someone offered a first-round pick, I'd think about it. He's 29, but Ramsey was #1 guy. And here's my thing. If you wanted to trade Jalen Ramsey for a first-round pick, you would just create cornerback as one of your top needs because you don't have any young guys to bring up. Like, Cam Smith has not been good. Well, he played 1 game and he wasn't good. Kendall Fuller's on a 2-year contract, so he's older. They don't have any young guys waiting in the wings here. So you're going to need someone to man down that secondary and cornerback room for the foreseeable future. And it is Jalen Ramsey, and you also gave him a contract extension before the season began. So, yeah, Jalen Ramsey is definitely going to be still on this team. I'm keeping him just like Tyreek Hill. I know they're 2 really good veterans that could get you first-round picks back, but if you want to trade them, I think that trade would happen next year or in the offseason, not right now at the deadline. Kind of what I feel. Make sure you are subscribed. Like I said, daily content coming here at the channel. Sometimes 2 videos a day. We'll break down everything on the Miami Dolphins. So hit that sub button and join us here at Dolphins Today.